Okay, I suggest that we start. So, good afternoon or good morning to the newcomers, and welcome to the first panel of today's forum under the title Practices, Similar Means for Different Ends. I haven't been here yesterday, but as far as I've heard and read, yesterday's talk was more on an abstract level, focusing on a residency program as a means for artistic development, art production, as well as their social function. Today's panel will step back, so to say, and put the discussion on the level of practices, as its title suggests. So what we will discuss here and present, basically, it's a different residency program and their specific models. Since there are many differences between the models themselves, from those which are very strict or very strictly planned to those who are more open or research-based. We will have a lot of speakers, so I will present each of them before they start their presentation. While preparing these short presentations, we agreed to focus on few main questions, so to say, so that we will like to discuss after the presentations all together, so to say. So these were the questions of the mission or the main purpose or the main reason why these programs has been set up at all. Beyond the tendency which is present in the field of art production since the 1990s. So the residency model somehow became the dominant model of production. So the second question was the relation of those institutions towards its immediate context, be it the local artistic and cultural scene, be it its immediate social contexts and, or neighborhoods. And the third question that we would love to open and discuss with you will be its function in the art field. Since they all put in focus exchange of skills, of knowledge. So how does this exchange function in the art field? What is exchange? Who exchange what? And such questions. So I also have to say that the first speaker announced for today, Angela Butterstein, which is a press and public relations coordinator at the Akademie Schloss Solitude in Stuttgart, won't be with us today since she has health problems. So, but maybe we decided not to take her function or whatever, but Ika is one of the panelists here, is collaborating since long time with Schloss Solitude, so we can maybe briefly touch this model in the discussion, not before that. Regarding the order, we will follow, apologies, we will follow the one announced in the booklet. So we will start with Ika Sienkiewicz Nowacka, which is a curator and a cultural manager. She's curator at the Center for Contemporary Arts, Ujazdowski Castle in Warsaw, in Poland. And she is the founder of its residency program called Simple Artists in Residency Laboratory. So, this program started in 2003, so it's more than 10 years of experience that she will now present to us. Okay, so, Ika, please.
Good morning. As I have the task to also touch Akademie Schloss Solitude, maybe I will actually start with this experience, because Akademie Schloss Solitude was partly a reason why I established a residency at the Center for Contemporary Art. Baden-Württemberg and Poland 10 years ago were 15 years ago were celebrating its own like political collaboration, and directors of our both institutions, so Jean-Baptiste Joly, who is a director of Akademie Schloss Solitude, and Wojciech Krukowski, who used to be a director of the Center for Contemporary Art, met in one of the European networks, and they decided to collaborate. And I don't think there are any other institutions from Baden-Württemberg and Poland that have such a strong relation, and therefore they've decided to bring an exhibition of Solitude fellows to Warsaw, and I was asked to make it. So this is how it started, and then I dropped for 3 months to the context of Akademie Schloss Solitude, and in fact this was the first moment when I realized what is a residency. And for me, this residency wasn't absolutely something about an exhibition. It was more about the relation with people who are representing various disciplines, like from the music, from architecture, there were also scientists, coordinators. All those people were coming from various countries, and despite the fact that their countries were antagonical to each other, they were able to co-function, make friendships, and share. So, outcome of this experience was quite different from the initial idea. I decided to bring those people to Warsaw and organize a festival that lasted around 2 months. And people who were fellows were producing, were organizing workshops, were discussing. They were really present in Warsaw. And after they left, I realized like we need someone like that in Poland, in Warsaw for a longer time. So together with Jean-Baptiste Joly, we convinced my director and the ministry that we would love to create such a residency program. It was a chamber program in the beginning, but the soul of Schloss Solitude, this dynamic, this interdisciplinarity, was a very, very important experience for me. So I picked up a few projects which are coming from different angles. Some of them are more focused on our neighborhood. Some are more like trying to engage curators and artists and refer to the Polish art scene. Just to give you a feeling of in how diverse spheres residency can function. So I am starting with the first one. On this image, you can also see the site of our residencies. In front of the building, Juliette Delventhal and Paweł Kruk, a chef, because we are also open for those like unusual disciplines. So we really had a chef from San Francisco, anthropologist as well. She decided to ground a permaculture garden. Collectively, we were collectively planting their different vegetables and herbs. And as this is an open space, it's not surrounded by any fences, and it's in the park, in the neighborhood. There are 2 bars, restaurants. There is a beautiful there is a beautiful summer king's residency, which is very often visited by Warsavians. So people were just coming, like they were just finding this place as an interesting site. Nobody was damaging it. They were just observing what's up there. And such a gesture helps also to unify the community of our residencies. So curators from the institution, like volunteers, were coming to cook and to eat together. For me, a residency is a moment where you can actually initiate a meeting and dialogue, and outcome of this residency is not the most important thing. Like the most important is experience that you are actually bringing back home, and relations that you are bringing back home, and you can use them afterwards. The second residency that was extremely important, it's a residency organized for Brave New Alps, two designers coming from Bolzano. And it's very important because in Poland, residency is a word that is actually describing like a king's residency, very luxury house. So you have a lot of misunderstandings around that. People, especially from the official sector, are believing that maybe you are like, you know, spoiling the money, public money for that. And Brave New Alps got a grant for 6 months, and they decided to share their resources. So their castle became a castle of 6 other artists for whom they organized an open call and with whom they shared their accommodation. This is a room that they constructed for people, and with whom they shared stipend, and whom they invited from their travel grant. They were significant people because sharing with the other people became a habit, and also co-sharing with the other residents. So they proposed to everyone constructing this special structure that could be used on different levels. And beyond the residents, they've invited also students, chefs, Polish artists, other architects, scholars to use the park, to revitalize the park. And their action was also very important for our institution, because we discovered that the park that we have in the surrounding of our castle, it's actually a great resource for organizing different projects. And since 3 years we have a green Ujazdów, which is like going on, a very popular summer festival. And now there are a few photos from the interiors of Ujazdowski Castle, from the office area. Not very welcoming, I would say, and this what actually we are experiencing on everyday basis. It's like the vision of two realities. Like our artists are living in this like wonderful studios, looking like Schloss Solitude's interiors. You can have a look on the website. But people who are working in those separate rooms. They are going around very narrow corridors. There are civilian cameras on each corner. So you have the feeling that it's not helping to build up relation. For 5 years, we are also experiencing a very serious crisis in our institution. This crisis was observed and named like openly a year ago, and it was like related with the mistrust to our director. It was also related with lack of communication, of separation of different departments, and for this situation we invited Umschichten, collective of architects, who came to all this context and decided to create a Warsaw Umschichten group, and interviewed almost all workers at the castle, asking them about how they find the architecture of our institution. And this project is very, very important because you can see that there is that artists can actually help to implement a change. They are coming to the context of the institution with or a city with a completely different from completely different position. They can view many different things that are invisible for ourselves. And out of this interviews, the project is still on. The research is conducted. They prepared a lot of different sketches, which are like showing the most difficult things. They've also invited a Polish illustrator to draw characters which are related to the interview. And this, what we are expecting, is to come up with some solutions, which probably are totally illusoristic for the moment, but maybe in the future they can be completed. And the last level on which we are acting, which is the most related with influencing actually the arts sphere in Warsaw and I would say also beyond our city. It's a project that we initiated last year called Redirecting East. Like, our observation was that most of the residents that were joining our program are coming actually from the rich countries that are able to found the residency. This is one of the tricks in our sphere. Most of the people are able to afford bringing those for whom someone else can actually pay. Luckily, we have quite good relation with the city of Warsaw, and they are regularly supporting our program with a donation. And once we decided to use the whole donation for stipends and travel costs of the artists who are artists and curators who are coming from the eastern border of Poland. And of course, having like lack of knowledge, of any knowledge, like about Eastern Partnership region or Middle East or about Arabic countries, it's not, there is no relation existing between scenes from Poland and those countries. We decided to organize an open call and start first with the curators. And the program was established last year. Now we are continuing with it. There are very interesting people coming who are sometimes key people in those regions, like from Makan in Jordan, the High and Low Bureau from Israel. There are people who are related with 98 Weeks from Beirut. So really diverse group of people who have extremely important things to say. And what is the most interesting in this project is that it occurs that we are sharing experiences, a lot of different experiences on historical level, on social level, and together during the workshops, during the public program, we are learning each other. And they are also, and which is very important, they are also informers for curators, for artists, for many people who are acting actively in Poland. Like, this program is packed with meetings, with networking. So I have the feeling that that the residency, it's also like changing the sphere, like the art sphere of our city. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ika. I think there were really great examples, which will, I hope, open many questions in the end. The next speaker is Clara Gensburger. She is a project coordinator of Les Laboratoires d'Aubervilliers. She's also an artist, which is not surprising, since L'Atelier, the institution is run by 3 persons, so there is not one single director, but there is a collective management of the institutions, and one of them always has to be an artist. Is it still so? Yeah. And the Laboratoires it is also in comparison to the other residency program, an interesting example, since they are focused a lot on researches, so not on the representation model, but they are more into research and production. And as they state on the website, I will now cite, one of the rare places where art is never disconnected from cultural, social, and political reality. So let's hear now what Clara has to say.
Hello. Thank you first to invite me, and I spend 1 minute in my time to say that I'm super happy to be here, and I don't know if you know, perhaps not, but 2 weeks ago it was the European election in France, and it was a catastrophe because the national right side passed, and it's for that it's an enormous emotion to be here and to feel all this European culture that is built, and it's really cool. So, I am the coordinator project of les Laboratoires d'Aubervilliers, that it means the Laboratoires, so second laboratory, the Laboratoires of Aubervilliers, which is a city close to Paris. Just a few words about the organization, because it's important to understand. So first it's the Laboratoires because of it's a place of experiments, more than research experiments, and it's not an art center but a research and creation art center. We don't have exhibition, and it's the Laboratoires and not the laboratory, because for each project of artists it's a new way of build the project, and so it's always a new laboratory which happen with all the project. So it's a non-profit organization, private. It was created 20 years ago, so quite a long time now, by a choreographer. The first years was most about circus and street art, and years after years, so there is a board that choose a direction, so a collective direction, like you said, for 3 years, which can be reconduced 3 more years, so it's 6 years maximum. And that is really important, because it's because of that it's really difficult to define what is this place, because always it's changing by the direction in place. And one of the obligatory charge is that it's collective, and it's asked that there is an artist in the direction. So at this moment, since 2013, it's 3 girls. Women, and it's not a decision, but it's really a woman place, because it's 3 women, and we are a team of 12, and there is 2 boys for the technician and for the accountability. And so it's so yeah, it's 2 curator and 1 artist. The artist it's named Dora Garcia. She works a lot about performance. It's super coherent with her job. And the other girl, it's Mathilde Villeneuve, who is curator, and Alexandra Baudelot, who is curator, but more than it's really linked to the dance. To speak a little about money, this wonderful place, it's 600,000 per year for the total need. We have per year a fixed subsidy by the state, the city, and the land. So normally, if all is well, we have 500,000 per year that it's guaranteed by this regular partner, and so each year we have to fund the difference, so 100,000 euro. And in this budget, in total, it's around 30% for the artistic parts, so it's 70% for the employer functioning and all that. Not so interesting, but I think it's important to say. And so we, so when the direction is chosen by the board, they have to present 3 years of invitation of artists. So it's not a residency with open call. It's just an invitation by the direction. And like by this selection of artists, they built the project of the direction of the big line, and so yeah, the artists are invited, and when they accept the invitation, it's they propose a project. It's not necessarily something super well defined or something like that. It's like when I say in one word, in one sentence, what is les Laboratoires d'Aubervilliers? It's a place that artists can do something that they couldn't do in another place. So it's a project, but like a dream sometimes. And all the projects are creating some opening, public opening. We named like that because it could be spectacle, it could be, we will see some example. And all the public opening are free. And yeah, that it was for the big explanation. So I will come back. So just some photograph. Yeah, no, it's super important thing. We don't have any studio, so it's most like I said, a project or a dream. Then we host most than an artist because we don't have any place for sleep or something like that. So each time when the artist accepts the invitation, he explains us what he wanted to test or to experiment. And for each project, if it's foreigner, we found with some partner or something, we found a flat, not so expensive. We try in Paris, and all the financial construction. It's linked with if it's in the field of the dance, we are going to ask money with the dance department of. Most of the money we have, 100% of the money we have, it's public money, and so it's like in Pogon, it's an old factory. It's you can see it's this place, and we have some room, so that it's a spectacle room, that it's entrance, it's quite big, and that it's another room who can host some spectacle and some repetition and all that. So the artists have this place to work. Actually, we have like 6 projects, I think. I am coordinate and all that, and they work at the laboratories, but often outside because it's often project linked to the neighborhood and all that. And yeah, so to speak about the way we work, and we work with our neighborhood, we have to understand our situation, so that it's Paris and that it's Aubervilliers. So it's and the laboratory at here. There is a subway. It's super easy to come, but for all the Parisian people, it's like a terrible thing to go outside of Paris. And so I don't know if you know, but the suburbs of Paris and most of the northeast suburbs are super contrast with a yeah. It's really not Paris, and it's really a contrast. Like when you arrived in Aubervilliers, it's like another country. It's one of the city poorest of France. It's really a particular context, and when that it's a super important point, it's that when you have a place like the Laboratoires that we can name like a white cube of performance, because it's really violent for people if we don't work with, because it's such money of the city we have. It's such something super far for most of people, that if you don't work with some wonderful people I meet, it could be really violent to impose some such particular shape of expression. So I choose 3 projects, 3 artists and projects we had at this moment. One of Latifa Labisi, which is a French choreographer, quite known in France. And when she accepts the invitation, she always said that, for example, she doesn't have so problem of money of all that. And at this moment of this career, it's more a problem of time, that she doesn't have some time to do something else than produce a ballet or something like that. So when she come at Aubervilliers, she wanted to redo a group that it was created several years ago. It's a group of dancer, artistic actor, theorician, and all that, about the question of the racism and the racism, and particularly in the art field, that there is so no black artist or some minority who are really not represent. So it was 1 week of debate, the day, sometime open, sometime not, and every night there was a representation of several artists she invited. It was that it's her. She has a super great job, and so it was really interesting in the context of Aubervilliers, which is a super multicultural city. And it's an example of, I think it was interesting because it's a dancer, but she doesn't propose a dance project, she proposes something else. That it's a funny project we had, it just
finished. It's Advazakai, which is, who is, performer and visual artist. She comes from Israel, but she lives in Belgium now. And Abake, which is a collective of graphic designer, super good collective based in London. And so these 2 people, they decide since a long time they work about the difference between public and private space, and so they create like a sitcom, and 3 episodes of this sitcom took place in flat of people of the neighborhood. So it was all a work to find people who could be interesting to host a performance, and all a process of work. And it was for most of people we meet, they say, "Oh no, it's not possible. It's too intimate. It's too close." But these people, who say no to host the performance after. Because we have a lot of conversation, they come and they constitute this community of spectators of the performance, and it was really a mixed people, and it was funny because it was a lot of people from Aubervilliers, and the lostest people was most the Parisian than the Aubervilliers people, because it was their district, their place. So it's some photograph of the performance. It was an history of skeleton on the house. And an ultimate project of theater guy named Dieudonné Nyanguna. He's Congolese, but he worked in France since several years, and him it's the same. It's someone who was in Avignon last year. It's really not a problem of career or something like that, but he have a dream. It's the kung fu, and when he was little, he always watching movie of kung fu in Africa, and his father said, "Okay, one day I will send you to visit China, and you will learn kung fu, and when you will come back, we will create the first movie maker of kung fu in Africa." And so the father died. Something happened, and he never been to China. And when he arrived in the laboratories, he said, "Okay, I want to make my kung fu now." And so he is writing at this moment a theater piece about the kung fu and is linked to the kung fu. And he proposed research. For punctuate the theater piece, we search several people on the neighborhood to remake their favorite scene movie with themselves in Indiana Jones, for example. So that it's our version of Indiana Jones. It's played by Nourdine, which is with a super cool guy. Yeah, and that it was à bout de souffle from Godard. That it was, I don't know the translation in English, Once Upon a Time in the West, or something like that. And this woman, for example, she is a major employer, and she is well known in all the district, and everybody hates her. And but me, I like her. But and everybody was super loathing seeing her in cowboy. And there is one people who it was just before the election of the new mayor, and everybody said, what we are, it's just for the election you do that, and it was quite funny. And all the scene has to be in Aubervilliers, has to be shot in Aubervilliers. That it's a movie named Hôtel du Nord. It's a super famous movie because in France, because there is one sentence super well known, and it's atmosphère. Est-ce que j'ai une tête d'atmosphère? And it was funny. It was this woman. It's a super funny woman, and this guy. It's one of the teacher of the art school close to the laboratory. It was really good meeting between some people. And that it's Serge with a Bruce Lee movie in the garden. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, thank you, Clara. So we are slowly moving towards the local context. Our next presenters will be actually presenters duo, Davor Mišković and Slaven Tolj. Davor Mišković is a curator, president actually of Association Drugo and president of a culture network. A network of cultural organization on the national level, and also a guest lecturer at the Faculty of Humanities in Rijeka. So, and Slaven Tolj, an artist, curator, a founder, and long the president, or how will I name it, of art workshop Lazareti in Dubrovnik, which is also an, he won't talk maybe today about it, but it will be also a good example, since art workshop Lazareti in its specific context really functions as a social center, so has a broader function. But at the moment he's actually a director of the Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art in Rijeka. So Davor and Slaven will together present Kamov residency program and its limits and difficulties, or and also maybe try to at least try to make a link to Rijeka's cultural scene and this urban identity of Rijeka and such politics. Yeah.
Okay, it's a pleasure to be here with you. What I will try to tell you a story how we set up this residence program in the city of Rijeka. It has a strange name, Kamov. It's about it's the title on, I mean, this is Croatian writer who moved from Rijeka to live elsewhere in Barcelona, and he died in Barcelona. And I mean, somehow that title, you know, it's paradoxical in a way, because the person who left the city and they gave the name under his name. I mean, and we had other, I mean, more interesting people who came to the city to be on residence, for example, like the nuncio, and we wanted that, you know, he really had a kind of residency of 1.5 years in the city and has lots of influence on the city. So that was, I mean, kind of strange name for that program. Because, I mean, what was the problem when we start to initiate this idea of residences, that many, let's say, wider public and even in the art scene mostly saw residence as a kind of cultural tourism in a way, that people came and, you know, they are staying in some apartment and who knows what they are doing, you know. And that was a kind of problem, how to convince people that this is not place to crash, but to place to have some certain influence on the city as kind of mutual interest. And there was initiative among few organizations in the city, and city administration really has accepted that idea, and we start to work together on a kind of setting up the residence program. Context was, you know, that we wanted the residence program, but we didn't have any resources to set it up, and also we had this problem with the understanding of the residence program. So we start kind of series of meetings with city officials. I mean, city officials, I should say that they were really open at the beginning, you know, to the residence program, and we decided that we will go to the direction that we will set up the program that will have openness in a way that will be not run by one organization, but that the program will have basic infrastructure, one apartment and the studio, that will be open to the different organizers who want to organize a residence program in it. So that was the kind of model that it still, I mean, exists. Because Rijeka is the, you know, quite small city and doesn't have a strong artistic scene, and there is no organization who could run a residence by themselves. So the program should be really open, and this not was open just for the organizers from Rijeka, but organizers from Croatia, you know, because our idea was that, I mean, we also, the group of people who started this, let's say, initiative about the residence, we needed to define what residence means for us. I mean, I saw that you yesterday was also talking about that, because this is a different, I mean, it has a different meaning for all of us. So we defined it in a way that there are certain minimum requirements that this being or living in the city should be considered as a residence. So for us, that was a kind of minimum of 1 month length of staying in the city. You know, that person who is coming could really kind of feel the city and meet people, and you know that it starts this kind of mutual kind of exchange, understanding. So that was a kind of first, let's say, kind of requirement for these organizers who will apply who will apply for one or several residence programs. So that was the kind of idea. Also, it was idea especially because of this non-understanding of the residences, that it should have certain public, let's say, kind of public presentation or I mean, it should leave the trace in the city somehow. And we were quite open what that trace should be. It could be event, it could be exhibition, it could be something left like a story or whatever, you know. So that traces was quite important for us, that a person who is under that residence should leave certain trace. And the third thing that was quite important for us, that it should be international, because somehow we considered that we need kind of movement of people, not only of Croats, but also of people, you know, from whole Europe, but also the world. And somehow that we wanted to attract people kind of from international artistic scene to come to Rijeka. So there was the basic kind of requirements, and we set up the criteria for the call. And that was in 2009. And city, from their side, really, I mean, find a really nice apartment in the city center, and where artists have a kind of room. I mean, kind of one room for working room, let's say, and where they could work, and another room where they could sleep and be there with the kitchen and so on. And it's quite a big apartment, and it could host 2 persons at the same time. And also, some year or 2 years later, city also find a studio for the artist. And there is another thing that is quite important. We also wanted to restrict somehow artistic field. So for us was a kind of, I mean, the people who were, I mean, there was 4 of us who was imagining this residence program. We were quite concerned about how to deal with the certain dangerous, I mean, certain risks. And one of the risks that we find out that is that some big institution like Croatian National Theatre could find this residence as a nice model, you know, to put up people who are working on their production for free, you know. So we somehow wanted to restrict it, and we defined that this resident will be for visual arts and the writers and new media and whatever, but not for performing arts. That was, I mean, kind of problem even for my organization, because we are also dealing with performing arts, but we needed somehow, you know, to find the rule, to set up the rules that residents start to work properly in a way. Also, I mean, with these traces, that was also a kind of, was a, let's say, problem, how to deal with this, because it could be anything, you know, that somebody is participating in certain exhibition and this is a trace. That's also kind of risk, you know, that somebody will use this infrastructure for completely other purposes. So, but I mean, we accepted this, but then in that case we asked for, let's say, 2 traces, traces of, okay, he could participate or she in that exhibition, that's no problem with it, but it should also, I mean, produce something, I mean, should present something that it was connected to the city, kind of as a part of residency program, not just as a part of some other program. So that was the kind of risks of that residence, because it's kind of, in nature of all organization who is organizing cultural program that want to cut expenses, you know, and to use infrastructure which is there for free or something, you know. But we really needed a residence. And when the first call was published, we set up also kind of commission of 5 people who will decide on programs that was presented. And at the beginning was started the great. What city was really also offering kind of let's say small fee for the person in residence. That fee was really covering the basic daily expenses, and it was covering travel expenses for the person, you know, and really started the great, and in the first year there was already some 50 to 20, I'm not sure, artists who was in that residence, and they were all international, and they all left the traces, and it was really started very, very well. But somehow, already in a second or third year, you know, there was a kind of moment of destruction in a way, because many organizers of the residence program started to complain to the city that 1 month is too long period, that they want to shorten this period to 15 days. Then this criteria was really changed. Then also city was in financial troubles, and they reduced the fees for the artists, and at the end they reduced completely financial support to the program, and they only give this basic infrastructure, place to live and studio, place to work. And so now this residence program is incomplete, you know, somehow. I mean, it's still a residence program sometimes, you know, and still works like that, but sometimes it's also the place where artists is coming and stay overnight or something like that. You know, it's really used as an apartment for different purposes, you know, for different, and it doesn't have a real clear focus anymore. I mean, at least this is my perspective. But this is also, this is a kind of a result of circumstances, you know, and this crisis in the whole cultural sector. And, you know, with the lack of resources, lack of money, and each organizers right now are kind of calculating how to do the program and you know, and it's trying to use all possible solutions to do this, and this apartment now, it's a part of this, one of this solution, and it's not anymore kind of clear border between this residence program and the really place where, you know, people could stay for some time. And but this is our reality, and I really, I'm not criticizing this, but I'm just saying that this is like that, you know, right now. And now museum will took over this residence program, and you know, and for at least Slaven will explain his vision of it. But what I want just to say that. As a conclusion, that until now that model where the basic infrastructure is open for different organizers, it really fits to our reality. I mean, to Croatian reality in a way, because we have quite strong organizations who are doing international programs, and many of us here, also Domino was working in that residence. We as a Drugo museum had several programs there, and and what I want to say that this is a really kind of good model for us, but also from the other hand it should have a kind of really strong criteria and you know, how to use this infrastructure. So it's always in a balance of when it's something open, how much it could be open. You know, there is a certain kind of restriction to the openness. You know, it's not anarchy; it's a kind of openness under certain rules. You know, and this is And that was really functioned when it had other these resources, like financial resources. But right now it's really in a trouble in a way, conceptually, but still is functioning, you know. Okay, that's it. Slaven will go in the future.
Okay, I haven't any vision about this project, but I like to invite all this art community and organizations in Rijeka, and we will discuss together how to establish a new program in these 2 apartments, and it's very good possibilities. But maybe it was problem because this city bureaucracy, it isn't really good it isn't this frame was too strong and very and you connect this bureaucracy and this frame, and the result it's frustration, you know, and you have non-stop this misunderstanding between bureaucracy and art community. And we'll see how to change this, how to... I spent 3 months when I came to Rijeka. I spent 3 months in one apartment, in this Kamov apartment, and it's really empty space. It's nothing. It's like few rooms and it's a modern new kitchen and maybe 300 of bibliothèque of books from city production, and mostly our books are strange, let's say, you know, and it's really bad atmosphere for residency, and I think it's this is really huge possibilities. And we will discuss together how to develop this and how to deal with this. And it's studio space. It's completely empty, and you have some really strange situation. And but you made some really good. Basic things, like it must be contemporary art, it must be linked with community and programs of NGOs and institutions in Rijeka. And finally, I have really huge and really good memories about residencies in Dubrovnik. It was really sometimes funny, sometimes complete crazy, sometimes very serious. But during the 25 years, we invite really hundreds artists, and we manage a few projects through the residency programs. Yeah. Okay.
So thank you, Slaven and Davor. So we are moving towards the end of this presentation part. Our last speaker today is Zvonimir Dobrović from Zagreb. So he's a founder and program director of Queer Zagreb and Perforacije Festival. He will present Queer Zagreb Artist in Residence program. It's connection to the Queer Zagreb, which started as a festival and then developed in the program throughout the year, and also its connection to the some international Far East actually scene, which is an interesting direction, so to say.
So thank you. I'll try to keep it shorter. I've been doing Queer Zagreb for 10 years, and then 2 years ago we transformed the festival into a season, and to do that we wanted to add extra program to the season, so it's not only guest performances just stretched in the year. And before we did that, I started also another festival called Perforacije, which the idea of the festival was to support the local artists, to co-produce work and just to kind of be the bridge between the ministry or the city that didn't maybe support enough the independent scene. So from those two perspectives we wanted to make a residency program that would then invite international artists to stay in Croatia for between 3 to 5 weeks, but also find another model to support local artists, not only to go to residencies abroad, but also to find a way to sort of be in residence in Croatia. So I will just talk a little bit about those two things. So we wanted to make, and I have been myself to a couple of residencies, and these were always the best times of my life. So we wanted in a way to provide a similar experience to people to Croatia, and wanted to make a residency where they are, because we don't have a venue, that are tailored to the needs of artists. So it's not a set rule of anything. Anything is open. We have no call, because we have no capacity to read hundreds of applications, unfortunately. So it's really per invitation. And then through the communication with the artists, we develop a local partner. As I said, we don't have a venue, so if somebody is a theater director or actor, they need a theater space, we work with a theater, or a dance space, or studio if it's a choreographer or a dancer. And we also opened it to visual artists and curators, and that was important to me, because I thought curators also work in a different way, and they open up more possibilities than artists when they come for further collaborations. And then through that, we were, when we made the program or the budget, we thought maybe we can do 4 residencies where we pay everything for people. But because we could then fundraise through different other partners or foundations, I think we already did 15 or 18 residencies, and these are even more people, because sometimes we have a couple of people in residence, in like a collective, or so there've been maybe 30 or 40 people already in Croatia through this program. And how we did it's very simple. We just rented one apartment in the center of Zagreb, and then we used that apartment for people to stay in, and as I said, we work with different organizations that we usually work with anyway, to provide space or local context for people. And we have then created a longer-term collaborations with a couple of countries. So with Australia, we have a 3-year program, with Korea, where we have an exchange that is kind of safe and secure. So that I think is also important, so that local artists can think, okay, there is a program that we can go to Australia, or the Australians know that they can come to Croatia through this deal that we have with the local arts councils, or Korean Arts Management Service, or Japan Foundation with Japan. And in Brazil, with Petrobras, we have a collaboration. So we kind of did, around the world thing, which reflects my interest more than anything else, unfortunately. But it's also, we connected because it's per invitation and it's not a call, we really try to connect it also to the program and schedule that we do with the Queer Season or Perforacije Festival. So it's kind of not a closed program, but it's more a curated artistic arts in residence program. So that's the international one, and with each of these countries, and there's many more. So we have a connection with the Philippines, with Green Papaya. It's called the Green Papaya. It's the best name ever. Residency program, which is the biggest program in the Philippines for artistic exchange. In Mexico, we are doing one. So we have, with all of these, we have really a bilateral exchange. So we invite artists from those countries, and we send Croatian artists there. But another program that's maybe more interesting, because these exchanges are basic. But in October, we are giving 5 residencies to local choreographers to spend kind of stay-at-home residence. So they will we will give them money for 5 weeks to research. We will give them space and technical and dramaturgical support for whatever choreographic research they need. There will be a showing in the 5th week about the process that they had. The idea of the process is this, we made it quite open relationship with the audience, just as a first year to kind of not scare people with some specific topics. And then from those, we are hoping to pick maybe 2 for a full production for the festival next year. So that's the idea of this local residency, and this is then again in line with the idea of the festival, that we want to support the local artists to have space to produce work. Yeah, that's, I think, basic.
Okay, thank you, Zvonko. Now we can open the floor for any questions or comments from the audience. We will collect 2 to 3 of them and then answer, so to make it shorter, since there is just half an hour before lunch.
Thank you, everyone, for your talks. I had a suggestion for Rijeka based on a model that Halifaertsen uses with their studio program. So they have a lot of studio spaces. They don't have apartments, however, but they partner with like the British Council, or they also partnered with Kosice during their Culture Capital year, and they basically invite the organization to come to Leipzig to make the program themselves, and then they kind of moderate the program. So the funds are then not coming from Rijeka, the funds are coming from the British Council or something like this. And so then it's this kind of long-term partnership also. Maybe it's just a few months of the year, for instance, and they make a calendar. So maybe it's 3 months there'll be British artists, 3 months there will be Slovakian artists, 3 months something like this. And then usually they have a public presentation where the artists do a lecture or do a studio visit, or if they would like to do an exhibition or something, they can do an exhibition. So it depends on what the artist actually wants to do, but they also are required to make some kind of public appearance. And it works quite well for them because it helps them with also the administrative. It keeps the studio full, and they're not dependent on the city for them to finance it.
I have some maybe boring but concrete questions. To Clara, I love your budget. That's a comment. But the question is, how many projects, just to have an idea, how many projects a year basically you produce? How long this process lasts, these residencies, just to have an idea. And to Ika also question, the other question is also how big is your budget and resources? Similar question, approximately resources for, I know it's a part of the bigger institution, so it's not that easy to show, but for us I think it's very important to stay also, not just for us, but also for the Ministry of Culture, to understand what does it mean that this is not a 200 euros investment, but something else. That's why I'm asking these questions. Ika, okay? So how big is the budget, and also how many artists you can host a year, something like that, just pure numbers?
another one.
Could
We will collect another question then.
Okay, I'm interested in one question. Who have residency for filmmakers or for movie makers? Maybe it's the different way because house have his residency or not. In Croatia exists residence for filmmakers or no? Maybe it's house his. Who know? Nobody know. Okay.
I know. In Croatia, maybe I cannot tell you precisely, but I can give you a tip how to search for residency for filmmakers. So you can visit Residency or Transartist website, and you have on Transartist website something like find your residency, and then you tip it, and then you can choose a discipline. So you have the filmmakers as well, and then you have all residencies for filmmakers all over the world, and then you can search for the one that fits you. Maybe Croatia, it's also there, yeah? But just have a look. Like I recommend searching for this what like responds to your expectation. And I will just go on fast with the budget, yeah? So it differs like from year to another year, yeah. But I more or less like our yearly budget is approximately 150,000 euro, 100,000 euro. But this is total. Like I am counting in also like you know, salaries and maybe without the facilities. Yes, if we think about the studios, then it's probably a bit more. How many people I can host? Well, it also depends because it's curated program, so sometimes there's more, sometimes less, and when there are curators it's less, when visual artists, but we are hosting approximately 20 to 28 people a year, more or less, like it's organized 3 months long residencies, and we can host 6, 7 at the same time, 3 times a year. Because of the funding from the municipality, we cannot start in January, for example. Yes, we start like usually March, April, May, and then we are really crossing our fingers, keeping our fingers crossed so that the funding comes before the residency is completed.
So close to my desk, I have for each project a jacket, and I have 6 at this moment. I have 6 projects. So we host 6 projects at this moment. That it's a little too much, but it's because so when it's by year we start around 3 new projects, and but often for me it's just 1 year I work here, but often. For example, the first artist who arrived for this direction in 2013, she is still in residency in a way because her project is not finished, and it will be a movie. So it will be, I think, 2 years of a project. But because we don't have a place to live, it's really not in the same way of the other residencies that they don't stop their life and the other things, and they come and they but for us, for the team, it's around 6 projects we have at this moment to organize and to create.
It's about Rijeka. I don't know yet who knows how we will start up this, and no model yet, but its budget will be its city cover is some basic costs for spaces, and budget for residency it will be around 15,000 euros. Yeah. It's small budget, but we will see how to it's budget from the city. It's 15,000. The rest will be budget from institutions, from our projects, and we'll see. Yeah.
I just had a follow-up question for Clara, because you mentioned that 70% or 30% of your budget goes towards the artists. So, I'm sorry? Okay, to the artistic part. So, what would, I mean, the other 70%, I mean, what kind of expenses do you have?
We have 12 employer. That it's, I think, the major part of this budget. It's for the employment, and after all for the building, all the things we have, yeah, all these things, and yeah, I think it's the employment, and I don't know if it's in the artistic part. I'm not sure that there is. We say the travel for the artist, that I'm not sure, but I'm not sure that all the material things which are not artistic for the artist, it's in this 30% or in the 70%. Like we paid for the food of the artist, we pay for that. That I'm not sure it's in the artistic thing. But in France, you know, it's super expensive. There is a lot of for the paid of the employer. It's a lot of taxes, and so it's not too high, but it's a lot of it's a big part of the budget. It's to pay the people who work for the project.
And now a little bit more general question, because we also started this conversation yesterday, and I think it is worth to think through it. Actually, what are the consequences you can see, good and bad consequences you can see in your practices regarding how the artistic practice is developing or is changing because or thanks to the residency programs? That's one question, not just in that sense, okay, there is some time to have some studio work, but in a sense what it was presented in probably all of you, in a sense of this, using this time to connect an artist or curators even with the local community, to have some kind of focus on a city, to relate with the city, to have this double effect, as Davor was saying. Did it change the artistic practice? Did it change already? Could you notice the relations with the audiences? Did it change the working conditions and material relations within the arts? Is it used too many times to get cheap labor from the artists, as it was said yesterday? So in that context, whoever feels that would like to comment on that.
One more a little addition, or in how far did the engagement of the artists with the social environment or the community help you as an organization in the end to maybe create new partnerships or interest from the community towards you as an organization, or even on a more institutional level to find new partnerships?
So maybe I would just start.
Can I, sorry for interrupting. I would like to add one question, if it's not impolite. It goes to Clara. What is your relation towards the institution? Is it formalized or not, or is it some whatever abstract hate towards the institutions? I ask it because you mostly work with the very well-known artists from one side. On the other hand, there is no exhibition space, so everything is open to experiment. And also, to look back to your history, I mean, sometime in the first years of Le Laboratoire, it was started with Thomas Hirschhorn project Musée Précaré, or Precarious Museum, which brought canonical works from Georges Pompidou back to Aubervilliers.
Yeah.
So if you can...
It's so this one with the artistic institution, you want to say? Actually, we have a lot of co-production with artistic institution, but it could be in dance or something like that. Or we don't do diffusion of the project, but it could happen. We have a co-producer that will be in charge or to redo for example, the theater piece of Dieudonné Nianguna. It will be a piece. It will turn in some city in France and Europe, and each time it will be the same text, but it will redo which the city is, with the inhabitants of the city, these things. And for example, I had by phone last week the woman in charge of the project on the theater, the next theater, and we exchange a lot about the way of involve people in this project. And so yeah, Thomas. So us, I think, because we are such a structural it's such the project with is show more than the structure that we are often in a way we have a super good reputation. We are super known in the art field. But when you say in Paris, you say you work in the Laboratoires d'Aubervilliers, they say, oh, it's so great, this place. And you say, did you ever come to Aubervilliers? No, never. So it's something, a question of reputation because of the spirit of the place, but actually not so much people come really in the place to see the project. And yeah, Thomas Hirschhorn, for example, that I think it's a real repercussion on the art field. It's that permitting some artists to do, and they are not so. There is Thomas Hirschhorn and there is some known, but most of are not so known. It's a possibility to show a way of. An engagement, I think, that it's sometimes difficult to figure in the traditional art shape, and so it's this link we have in the art field that we permit to give the possibility to an artist to create a new shape that will better define his position in this art field, for example. And Thomas Hirschhorn, so it was a super wonderful, it's the most beautiful project we had, I think, because he lives in Aubervilliers, and that it's super important that, and it could respond to that people we give invitation, they accept because they are interested by the city. It's the minimum. It's not saying, but it's the minimum that there is an interest to do something in this particular city. And so Thomas Hirschhorn lived in this city, and he wanted to create a museum, but in Thomas Hirschhorn style, so with super precure material and all that, and so he convinced le Centre Pompidou, Beaubourg, to give most of the most famous artwork, like the bicycle wall of Duchamp and all that, and all the museum was driven by inhabitants of the big complex of building and it was really great. And so the relationship with the neighborhood, with the social, Me, I think the more positive point is that we lot a lot, but really a lot, and that it's really a good thing just to me, because it's my job for the for the project to involve some people, and it's really a trust relation that with some, I don't so much the expression the audience like a general things, and it's really some individual people that I meet and discussing a lot and not lying, because for example me, I don't bring so much to them, and most of them that they bring so much because artists need them for most of the project. So it's to don't lie about that, and so it's this kind of relation. And for example, in more in the structural way, we often work and discuss with a man who has a firm of economical and social, social and solidar economical, but it's most of about building and all that. And we have an artist who is going to come, and he built a house. So we are working now to have a co-production with the firm of the district. We specialize on the building and really not in the art field and all that. And that, I think it's super a super good way to work together with the skill of each one, everyone.
Maybe I will refer also to Emina's question regarding the change in the artistic practice. I think it's a very important issue related with the residencies, because from my perspective, residencies act very often beyond art market, and this enables to the artists really experimenting and being open for different practices in their art. And so this is I'm just pointing out the most important thing. And what is the double effect? Like the thing which is related with the residency is that residency enables grounding strong relations, because there is this factor of time, and people build up relation, and very often they bring them back to their own countries. And actually all the founders for the residency or partners, they don't follow it. They don't invest more funding in making this relation sustainable. And the artists who like the networks that were established during the residency very often go by their own, like in the future. There are like colleagues exhibiting in the other countries. So this is simply like a chain. It's residency is just a first change, first impulse for continuing something for the future.
I just want to add something as a comment on your comment. This is that, I mean, we should think about the scale of this influence, because neither the artist who lives here do not have any major influence on society or community. So also, I mean, these residences are the same thing, you can't expect anything, big, but there is a really, I mean, a kind of, as you said, kind of this mutual influence of the artist to some specific community, or that this community or situation could influence the artist to the work of the artist. So I will give you just two examples. For example, there was two artists, Rene Gabri and Irene Anastas, at the residency in Rijeka, and they integrated some situation related to unemployment to their own work. I mean, this is a kind of influence. I mean, and they talked with lots of these unemployment people, and which also provokes a certain strange situation that was for these people who are going on this Zavod za zapošljavanje. I don't know how to translate this. Some institution for unemployment people. It was strange for them situation that some people from United States coming there and asking why you unemployment, how do you feel, So it is kind of situation that is in a way interesting, and it has certain, how should I say, foul effect, you know, it has some specific kind of influence to the society. Also, there was a, for example, quite interesting situation when Domino organized Carlos Franklin's residency in Rijeka, that because he's such a person who is a very communicative guy, you know, that he really opened up lots of, I mean, he had kind of influence on a small artistic community, because we didn't know much about South American contemporary arts, and that guy really, I mean, was talking so much about that you know, now people are quite, you know, I mean, at least a certain circle are knowing this much more, you know, and this is a kind of a side effect that was not a kind of idea of his residence there, but you know, with communicating with the people, and these are such a small kind of exchanges that has on the long term, it really changed the somehow at least kind of face of artistic community, of local artistic community, and this is, I think, it's really important from the perspective of local community. You know, that you have a kind of, you know, this is kind of ingredient, kind of new ingredient in this local art scene that is important, and it's really changed the taste of this artistic scene.
I just want to also say, I wouldn't like to mystify residences in any sense. So I'm coming from really the type of work that we mostly did festivals. So we just had artists come in and go away as soon as possible. So this is a different way of working, and that for me is really fascinating. And it's nice to have somebody stay in Zagreb for 5 weeks. And actually, I made it conscious to myself. Oh my God, we have a season now, it's a residency program. When I realized I'm having lunches with artists every freaking week, and I'm like, oh, there's so many people here. So then you really change, and you can really engage with people and talk more and you know, and get inspired. But I think it's also, you know, that's why we don't have a strict rules for it, because people work differently. So they come somewhere, they just want to walk around, they just want to go on their own. So you can facilitate only up to a point. You can't push people to do something, and then when they go back, you know, they go back into whatever system they have, and something will stay or may not stay. But I think it's just, as people who organize residencies, you can only do so much and expect the least in a way. So I think that's but there's many examples when nice things happen. You know, like last year somebody came and they met a dancer here, and now they did a show together. So it's you know, I don't have these crazy expectations about it, and it's just a process. So, you know, that's why the residencies are here, because it's time for people, and I think that's the most important in a way. Yeah.
We still have some few minutes more for 2 questions.
I'm not sure that we have time.
Yeah, lunch now.
But I'm a moderator, so I'm sure. Okay. So, if there is not, I would like to add a note on the end, which is maybe like breaking a bit this romantic perspective of a free artist. And I think it hasn't been touched so far here. And beyond or below this idea of artistic mobility, there is another mobility going on, and it is the mobility of the workers who work for artists in residence, so-called interns. I don't know if you have tackled this problem. It's also like people going from an institution, also residential centers, let's say in Solitude, there are many interns working as artists or interns or practitioners in residences, like being paid for stay and food, but like working as hell, like 15 or 20 hours a day. So, sorry? I mean, if they are leaving their city, they have to stay. I mean, they are not paid for their work. They are paid just. The
stipend,
as
the others.
Yeah.
Staying there for a year or years.
Yeah. Okay. So I just wanted to leave it for further reflections and open it just as a problem, like another or dark side of the mobility. So thank you all for being here, and thank to all of presenters. Now it's a lunchtime, yeah. Okay, see you at 3 then again.